I'm Dr. Noni, N.A. Imjong, from Atomy. Nice to meet you. I earned my doctorate in developing new medicines. I might look healthy on the outside, but my liver is actually in pretty bad shape. Back in '98, I nearly died because there was no medicine available. But the reason I've managed to stay healthy and alive until now is thanks to Noni. You can trust Atomy Noni because of me. I actually made it for myself to take. To keep myself alive, Chairman Park Hangul of Atomy also has liver problems. Since Chairman Park's liver isn't great either, he told me to make it. Because we both need to keep living, Atomy Noni is going to sell by the trillion in the future. But type in my name, IMJEIOUYENGELA, and so type in my name, and then hit enter. I've published 19 papers in international journals. Out of those, the third one, click on the third one. The title of this is The Immunomodulatory Effects of Noni. There, the second author, Limjong N.A., that's me. Since I'm a professor at Hanyang University, it says professor there. Can you zoom in on the line below? Atomy R&D Center. It's Atomy R&D Center. All the patents and papers I have, who do they belong to? Atomy. We are going to do a lot more research on Noni in the future. We'll also invite doctors and actually verify it. Anyone here who doesn't know about Noni? Is there anyone who doesn't know Noni? Right. Noni can be found in every country around the world. How do I know this? I've looked up every book about Noni from all over the world. Just like you see on the screen here, there are books about Noni everywhere in the world. What is Noni, anyway? Well, modern medicine. There's a doctor here with us now, but modern medicine was actually developed by observing how animals heal themselves. Carnivores eat grass when they have a lot of parasites and want to throw up. Tigers eat rotten fruit to get alcohol when they feel like drinking. So far, research has shown that gorillas eat 58 different kinds of plants. Gorillas eat 58 different plants to cure their own illnesses. It's not just animals, even birds and insects heal themselves by eating certain plants. When animals heal themselves like this, it's called self-medication. And the field that studies how animals practice self-medication is called zoopharmacognosy. I earned my doctorate in developing new medicines. That's why I started zoopharmacognosy. Near Australia and New Zealand, there are islands called Polynesia. In China, India, and Egypt, the study of curing illnesses with natural substances is highly developed. But even in Polynesia, for over 2,000 years, since ancient times, people have been treating their illnesses with plants. There's a famous explorer from England. His name is James Cook. This James Cook discovered the Polynesian islands, and he quietly observed how the Polynesian people treated illnesses. But these people, whether they had a headache, sore eyes, a runny nose, stomach ache, or leg pain, no matter what was wrong, they used just one kind of plant for everything. You can guess what it is, can't you? And you can tell what it is, right? What do you think they used? Noni. So this person decided to try it out for himself. It worked incredibly well, so he took it back to Europe. When people in Europe tried it, they loved it too. But women, in particular, liked it even more. Why do you think that is? Why? When their husbands were stressing them out, eating Noni made them feel better. Noni has a lot of serotonin, so it lifts your mood. To put it a bit more scientifically, tryptophan turns into serotonin, and serotonin becomes melatonin, which makes people feel better. So in Europe, they didn't call it Noni. They called it happy fruit. Heineck was truly a clever person. What he studied was why healthy cells, whether in people, animals, plants, or even microorganisms, are healthy. There was just one thing that all healthy cells had in common. Heineck was the one who named that single substance. It's a bit of a tricky name, but he called it zeranine. If a cell has zeranine, it becomes healthy, but without zeranine, it isn't healthy. So they looked into where zeranine is found in the human body. But there isn't any organ in the human body that stores or keeps zeranine. Then, this person discovered that a certain substance in the liver turns into zeranine. In the human body, only that substance exists, and later it moves into the cells and becomes zeranine. So, the substance before it becomes zeranine was called proxaronine. So, the liver contains proxaronine, and when the cells aren't healthy, the liver sends proxaronine to the cells. And when the cells take in that substance and it turns into zeranine inside the cells become healthy. But there's a problem, everyone. As you get older, the zeranine stored in the liver gradually disappears. It's bad enough getting older, but as you age, you also lose proxaronine. You need plenty of proxaronine in your liver so it can send it out when something's wrong. But if you don't have enough, it can't send it. When people get the same injury, some heal quickly while others take longer. People who heal quickly have a lot of proxaronine, while those who heal slowly don't have much. So, Heineck looked for plants that are rich in proxaronine. The first thing he discovered was pineapple. Not the part you eat, but the inedible stem part of the pineapple. But even if you eat pineapple, it doesn't provide enough proxaronine. So he looked for something else. He found a plant that has more than 40 times the proxaronine of pineapple. If you eat it regularly, your body retains proxaronine. What plant is that? Noni. Two young men named John Wordsworth and Stephen Story knew it. But has anyone tried Noni? Just Noni, not Atomy Noni. I can't just play around. I've been eating Noni since I was 98. I only ate it because I was sick. If I'd been healthy, I never would have touched it. It smells bad and tastes even worse. So these two came up with an idea. If they could make Noni taste good, they'd make a fortune. So the company these two started is Mirinda, which is famous for its Noni products. Guess how much revenue Mirinda made last year? 1 trillion. 1 trillion. But our Atomy Noni juice tastes way better than Mirinda's juice. Because Mirinda made the juice taste good, people all over the world started drinking Noni. There's a famous doctor at Johns Hopkins Medical School. His name is Neil Solomon. Neil Solomon was the president's personal physician. He's a really proud man, but his patients kept coming to him and asking, "Doctor, is it okay if I take Noni?" That's what they kept asking him. So he decided to verify whether Noni was actually good or not. He gathered 50 doctors, and then he gathered 10,000 patients, had them take Noni for 3 years, and 78% of all diseases showed improvement. Every disease you can think of, even mental conditions, was improved. And the conclusion they reached. So what about the remaining 22%? The ones who didn't see improvement? No, that's not it. The 22% just didn't take enough Noni. So, as long as you take enough Noni, it's effective for every disease. That was Neil Solomon's conclusion. I've written down just a few of them here. Let's take another look at Heineck's research. After hearing about Neil Solomon's 3-year study, Heineck discovered something new. How on earth could Noni be effective for every disease? The answer was proxaronine. When proxaronine is converted into zeranine and enters the cells, every cell becomes healthy. As long as there's plenty of proxaronine in my body, whenever a cell sends out a signal that it's unwell, I can just send zeranine to it. So, Noni doesn't directly treat anything. My cells become healthy, so I'm the one who heals my own illnesses. That means I can cure all the diseases I have myself. That's why Heineck and Solomon met and came up with a single theory. They say that all the cells in a person's body are connected by nerves. If you prick the tip of your finger with a needle, your brain knows it hurts. Right? So if you prick your toe, which is far away, with a needle, does your brain not know because it's far away? It knows everything, right? Everyone, it knows, right? So all the cells in my body are connected. So if there's any part of my body that's hurting, all the cells in my body know that it's in pain. So if there's a lot of proxaronine left in my body, it sends it all to the places that hurt. The cells in the painful area become healthy. That's how you fight off disease and win. Which plant contains the most, the very most, proxaronine? Noni. They tried feeding Noni to diseased cells, and then they became healthy. When you eat Noni, it goes into your large intestine and produces proxaronine. Then it meets an enzyme that converts proxaronine into zeranine. That's why eating Noni makes you healthy. Apparently, people have been eating Noni for 2,000 years. Alright, let me quickly tell you what good ingredients are in Noni. Minerals. No, right? No. Vitamins. Everyone knows, right? Everyone knows it, right? Amino acids. These are all abundant in Noni, and it also contains a heap of polyphenols, which are known to help prevent aging. And how many times more prozeranine does it have compared to pineapple? Scopoletin. Scopoletin is really, really good for inflammation. As you get older, the thing you worry about most is inflammation. So, for older people, substances that help block inflammation are what really help keep them healthy. And among the substances that fight inflammation, scopoletin is said to be the most effective. And the one compound I really want you all to remember is iridoid. Iridoids repair damaged cells or help create new ones. There's a substance called damnacanthal. There's also a beneficial component found in cabbage and broccoli. It's called indole 3-carbinol. Indole 3-carbinol and damlecanthal are really good for women's cancers. They are especially effective for breast and uterine cancer in women. They say that if you eat noni, you'll feel better even if your husband gets on your nerves. Ladies, try drinking noni instead of water. Let me explain about iridoids. Iridoids are substances that plants produce to protect themselves. When their own cells are damaged, these substances help repair them, and they keep generating new cells. I've listed just a few of the many effects they have. The very first is antioxidant action. Second is its anti-inflammatory effect, which helps prevent inflammation. Third, it helps with things like rheumatoid arthritis, arteriosclerosis, osteoporosis, cancer, and pain. It also helps to reduce pain, and it can help with depression, high blood pressure, and even protects against bacteria and viruses. And it also helps form new blood vessels. It helps restore your blood sugar levels when they drop too. It also protects your nerves. And actually, my liver isn't in great shape, but it helps protect the liver as well. It's good for your eyes too, and it helps heal wounds. You know the fish called pufferfish, right? Pufferfish, it can even detoxify its poison. There's nothing iridoids can't fix. At this point, isn't it basically a cure-all? Now, iridoids are found in abundance in what we call plant superfoods. But in other superfoods, you'll only find 1, 2, maybe less than 10 types. How many types are there in noni? Yeah, noni has far more than all the other superfoods combined. So, just looking at iridoids, it's the superfood of superfoods. Let's see how much polyphenol it contains. It's got over 100 times more than kiwi fruit, tomatoes, or mangoes, which you're all familiar with. It's got way more than 100 times what's in kiwi fruit or mangoes. Eat kiwi fruits. Or have noni. Scopoletin. And scopoletin, do you remember what scopoletin is good for? For inflammation. There's an anti-inflammatory drug called indomethacin. Have you heard of it? Indomethacin, it's actually a medicine used to treat inflammation. They did a comparative experiment. It's as effective, or better, that's why noni is good for inflammation. But if you just squeeze noni and make it into juice, it doesn't get absorbed well. The most effective way to break down those big molecules is to ferment it with lactic acid bacteria. Except for Atomy noni, there's no noni out there that's been made into such small, low molecular weight particles. When I was making noni, I bought every noni product being sold in the world. But I found that noni in powder form isn't good. Powdered noni is ground up, seeds and all. But the seeds of noni are actually toxic. They say it's dangerous to eat noni seeds. That's why it's best to have it as juice. But even with juice, if you just drink it as is, it's hard to digest. No matter how much you drink, only a little actually gets absorbed. So, what kind of technology did we use? We used something called bioconversion technology. What this means is, we add lactic acid bacteria to the noni and ferment it. But just adding any old lactic acid bacteria won't make it change like this. If you add certain types of lactic acid bacteria to noni, the amount of beneficial components increases. So, you have to figure out which lactic acid bacteria actually produce those good effects. So, there's a government research institute in Korea. I did research together with them. We compared all 52 strains of lactic acid bacteria available in Korea. I used to work at Lotte back in the day. At the Central Research Institute of Lotte Group, Korea's 5th largest company, I was told not to do this research. Costs much. Atomy me to research. They'd fund it. 2 years, 5 institutions, 501 on this research. But while we were doing the research, another problem came up. The longer you ferment noni, the better it gets. If you take food out of the fridge and leave it out, does it rot or not? Noni also rots if you ferment it for too long. There are bacteria in the air you're breathing right now that make things rot. But there's a way to keep it from rotting. You just need to add way more lactic acid bacteria than the bacteria that cause rotting. Our Atomy probiotics were fermented for 60 days. Do you know how many probiotics we had to add to keep it from rotting for 60 days? It's the highest number of probiotics among those currently being sold. And it's not just one strain, there are 7 different strains in it. A single strain can only perform one function, but with 7 strains of probiotics, we can really boost the nutrients in noni that provide so many benefits. What I want to highlight is that when noni is fermented with our probiotics, its value increases by 2.3 times. But who can use these probiotics? Only Atomy. Because the name of this probiotic is Atomy, not only is it highly effective, but it also tastes really good. While developing it, we ended up with 6 patents. One of them is even good for diabetes. Another one is good for allergies. Another one, well, I wrote andropause, but what that really means is it's for men's, you know that. And to be sure it actually contains a lot of those functional ingredients, you have to test it, right? We also hold a patent for a method to test them all at once. Noni contains a substance called adaptogen, and it also contains serotonin. That's why a patent was granted in the US for its ability to help relieve stress. You have a lot of stressful things going on, right? When you're stressed, your cells get damaged, so you need to reduce stress before it leads to cancer. What can you eat to reduce it? Noni sold in the US will carry this patent. In December, another patent was granted in Korea. For fatigue recovery and improved physical performance, there have been 6 patents granted, and 6 research papers have also been published. 2 of these are published under the Atomy name. Back in '98, I almost died because there was no medicine. But the reason I've been able to live healthily until now is thanks to Noni. You can trust Atomy Noni because of me. I made it so I could take it myself, to keep myself alive. Thank you.